All right, what is going on, guys? All right, we are back. We are almost to the rest day. Almost there. Stage number 5 coming in hot. Guys are getting ready to get going here in just a few minutes. 5:16 p.m. as we're recording this here on the West Coast. Very interesting day. Got to rewind a little bit to the results, and I just wanted to confirm with you guys, it is official. Sarah Price has captured her first stage win, I believe, first stage win at the Dakar Rally 2025. 5 hours, 13 minutes, and 38 seconds, accompanied by navigator Sean Berryman, making that one happen. So that was the SSV class. If you guys checked in with the results this morning, you knew that they were still out on course when we were recording that, but it is official. They are out, and it is done. So very well done on that one. It is still considered provisional, even though it is the end of the day and they're getting ready to get the next stage started, but they do take some time to get the results verified. So there may be a protest in there. Speaking of which, and it may have come from, I don't know, Brock Hager and Max Eddy finishing up third on the podium for today's stage, or, well, for stage number 4 yesterday in Saudi. So very well done, but it cost them it came with a 15-minute penalty. So not sure what they picked up on there. It could have been speeding, could have been a number of things, maybe even a missed waypoint. I don't think that. More than likely it was a speeding penalty, but we'll find out more about it as things progress, but it is unfortunate to see that. They are still in third place on that one, so not too bad. They are still hanging on to, it looks like, the lead through stage 4 in the overall. They're still hanging out up on top, so just going to be a little bit smaller of a gap now. We're down, looks like an hour 29, so Xavier de Sautrey falling a little bit back. So this obviously proved to be a challenging stage for these guys. So I'm just reviewing the results right now really quick, but if you guys want to check this out, don't forget, Dakar Rally, head on over to the website, scroll to the bottom. It's going to load another thing. Scroll again, and then you're going to see it on the bottom left. It's going to say live. Go ahead and click on that, and that'll get you into the map. You can get into some of the different sections. You can see the results. You can see through each stage, overall results, overall rankings. And you can also, once everybody is underway, you can actually track them. But speaking of tracking, what are we going to be tracking these guys on today? So let's jump over. Graphic is going to be on the screen if you guys are watching on YouTube or Spotify podcasts, so you guys can see what we're up to or what these guys are going to be up to today. So second half of the marathon stage. So the guys spent the night last night in the bivouac with these guys, all just competitors working together. There was a video that the Dakar published on their Instagram that showed Skylar House and Ricky Brabeck just hanging out as Pablo Quintanilla came in complaining about arm pump. So you could check those videos out and see, but these guys camped out, stayed out there, and now they're going to get ready to race back in tomorrow or tonight here in a little bit. So let's take a look at the graphic on the screen. We're going to be talking about the second half. Stage number 5 is the second half of the marathon stage. Right up at the beginning, let's take a look at the mileage or kilometers. We're going to be on the top right-hand side. It's going to be road section A, so there's going to be exactly 0 commute to get to the starting line. They are starting right from the bivouac and getting right to business. 428 kilometers for these guys to head out and race today on the clock. So 428 with 62 kilometers per mile. So you 0.62 kilometers. You're going to be looking at roughly 240-ish miles. So they're going to get their workout in again today. Remember, we were talking about that at the top of the show when we were introducing all of this stuff and doing the preview. Remember, they are averaging about 399 miles a day in riding. So that is a very, very long day on average. Obviously, we know some of the stages are longer, like the 48-hour chrono, versus some of the shorter stages like, well, it's not really a stage, like the prologue. So we'll see a really short stage at the end, looking at probably about 60 miles or so for the 12th stage of the Dakar Rally. That is going to be the closing stage. They will be doing a mass start this year like they have done way back in the day when they were starting on the beach on the last day. So very awesome to see that. Anyway, let's get back to it. 428 kilometers for these guys. They're going to be racing. And then it is going to be a short 64 kilometers for them to get to the bivouac. It's going to be a total of a 492 kilometer day, 5 times 6, roughly about 300-ish miles. So very much a long day, but it is going to be a fast day. If we're looking right at the center of this, they're going from Alula to Hail. That is going to be their destination where the teams went last night or yesterday. Today's course definitely going to favor some fast stuff. Dirt track 53% for this one, sand 43%, 0% dunes, and 4% stone track or gravel. Looks like it's going to be another fast stage for these guys. It should be an interesting one for it. As far as adding time, I mean, we're winding down the stages. We're getting into the rest day. Everybody's going to get a chance to take a break and hang out, do their thing. And then from there, it's going to be a matter of just finishing up the race. In years past, it's been known that once you get to the rest day, the real race starts on the day after rest day, the next stage, stage 6 for it. So we'll see how this one's going to break down, see if this is going to be kind of the same feeling. Last year, going into the rest day was day number 2 of the 48-hour chrono stage. So it was a little bit different. Guys that got into the bivouac really, really early because they were able to make it to the last rest zone. They only had 100 kilometers, about 60 miles that they had to race to get to the end of the day. So that was not bad at all. Versus this year, obviously it was way early on, stage number 2. And then that last stint was at least 300 to 400 kilometers that they had to race. So it was not an easy feat. We know about that. There was guys that stayed out in the desert that were not even able to make it to the first camp zone, which, you know, unfortunately there was some comment on the social, on YouTube, and it is very unfortunate. You know, it does take the wind out of the sails when you're trying to put together a time. Going back and kind of remembering that a lot of guys, you know, if they're really paying attention and they're really focusing on the time, more often than not, people are actually just looking to finish the Dakar. That's really the end goal. People in the years past, like say with Harriet Noah, who actually won the Rally 2 category and had no idea he had won until he got to the last stage when he was up on the finisher stage for the Dakar. So very, very, very well disciplined. But that is kind of a thing that I've heard, you know, from multiple places is, you know, you just got to go, you have to ignore the clock. You got to ignore the timesheets. You got to ignore that kind of stuff and just focus on surviving each day. So it is that long of an event. But anyway, okay, let's get back to it. Promising to be a pretty good stage here. It doesn't look like there's going to be anything tricky to it, at least just from the breakdown percentages. Again, looks like it's going to be a fast stage for these guys. So speaking of a fast stage, they're still going to get an early start. So first bike going to be leaving the bivouac at 7:15 in the morning. So that means that's probably going to be about a 7:20 start. Let's take a look here. So first bike going to be out. Control opens at 6:15. First bike out at 7:15. So the control, meaning that the process, the starting grid or whatever, the starting line itself is open an hour before the first bike is scheduled to leave. Exiting the bivouac at 7:15 p.m. The first bike is to take on the stage at 7:25 a.m., which is going to put that at 8:25 p.m. here on the West Coast. So still a little ways to go, about a little under exactly 3 hours to go before the start of the stage number 5 of the 2025 Dakar. So very interesting to see that one. Let's take a look here. And then it also looks like the FIM cars. So the cars... First car is looking to take the stage at 10:45 p.m. Here on the West Coast, or 9:45 a.m. over in Saudi. Last vehicle expected at 12:07. Control codes is at 1:07. So let's go back to this one. Let's talk a little bit about fuel range. So remember, there is no assistance along these routes or along this route being a marathon stage, but with the exception, obviously, of the fuel stops and neutralizations. Those are organization provided. If you guys remember, a couple of years ago, a few guys got the short end of the stick and getting water instead of fuel. Unfortunately, Andrew Short was one of the first ones to one of the fuel stops, and that ended his rally. He was not able to get the bike started. It was trying to start on water, basically, and that wasn't going to fly. So it seems like this year they've got it under control, which is good to see, but, you know, it's still early. Hopefully we don't have that kind of issue, because that is a really big bummer. That is 100% out of their control, out of the racer's control. It's basically what they are given. They don't have a choice. All right, let's talk fuel range really quick. So going to be leaving the bivouac or the start line on a full tank. We're looking at 226 kilometers to get to the neutralization where they will be getting fuel. And then after that is going to be 202 kilometers for them to get over to the end of the stage. So roughly 120 miles, 130 miles each time that they're going to have to go. So for us racing out here in the desert, or for us riding out here in the desert, that's basically the bike has to be able to make that 120 miles at race speed and still have obviously some fuel left over. You got to watch out. You might get lost, that kind of thing. You definitely want to have some reserve there. So 226 kilometers to the first fuel stop after they take the start. And then after that, it's going to be 202 kilometers for them to get to the finish line, where they will take on fuel again. And then after that, it's going to be a 64-kilometer stint to get back to the bivouac and meet up with the teams in Hail. So that is the stage rundown, an update on Mason Klein that we heard earlier. If you guys heard us talking about it this morning, it looks like there was some stuff going on with his eye. He was struggling with that and had to stop after trading top spots for the whole beginning half of the stage with Tasha and Daniel Sanders. And unfortunately, it cost him a bunch of time. However, what was initially thought to be or told to be basically like pink eye conjunctivitis. I know I pronounced that wrong. Correct me down there. I don't know. It's been a long day, but basically that is what they had initially thought it was, and that's what they were told it was, but it has been confirmed that it was just the dust and air getting in around the goggles. So that has been addressed. It is ready, and I think we're going to have a show tomorrow. We're absolutely going to have a show. This is a fast stage. We already saw that the Cove in today's stage has that pace early on. Obviously, Mason's struggling with his eye, trying to get to the end of the stage at this one, barely being able to see. But nevertheless, that looks like it has been corrected, and it's time to make it happen. Let's look forward to that stage. Again, these guys are going to get started here in just under 3 hours or so. So if you're staying up and watching this, it's going to be a little bit of a longer night, but it should be a lot of fun. Anyway, okay, with that being said, guys, it is time to get moving. I hope you guys are enjoying the show so far. If you guys got any other information, anything that you guys want to drop in the comments, I greatly appreciate it. Hopefully they're getting this tablet thing squared away, and we're going to stop seeing some of these failures and stop seeing some of these comments about getting their time back. It's unfortunate. So hopefully we get that all squared away, or at least the organization get that squared away. So anyway, with that being said, guys, remember, it'll make sense when you get there. Enjoy the ride.